Hi everyone, my name is Lillian Trinh and I am the Virtual Experience Manager with HP Poly, and today I'm going to be talking about our Microsoft Teams rooms on Android portfolio. We're going to go through three different portions of this virtual demonstration. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the devices, the size of room that we recommend them for, their specifications, the hardware, and then we're going to move into talking about the in-room experience. What features do you get with that rich Microsoft Teams room on Android experience, and how do you join calls, how do we share content, all of that. And then towards the last half of the call, we're going to go through what we call our camera and audio innovations, which are the differentiators that Poly provides in our hardware to make your video conferencing experience as seamless as possible. So we're going to run through that first piece, which is talking about the four devices that we have that are running that Microsoft Teams room on Android clients. So there's two different kinds of devices. We've got these all-in-one speaker bars here. These are called our Studio X series line of devices. They are all-in-one speaker bars that come with everything that you need for a video conferencing room, much like how a laptop has everything that you need built in for computing. That's sort of how I would equate these X series bars. So we've got three of them in the line. We have a small, a medium, and a large, and their names are respectively the Studio X30, which is meant for small conference room spaces, somewhere around the 4 to 6 person mark. It's got a wide angle 120-degree field of view camera lens here, and it supports a single monitor. But when we scale up to a medium-sized conference room, that's where we move into the X52. So the X52 is our newest iteration of our medium-sized speaker bar. It's got an updated camera lens, it has an updated chipset, and has really phenomenal video conferencing innovations. And again, this is going to cover a medium-sized room of about 8 to 10 people in the space. And this is now going to support up to 2 monitors natively in Teams, and can also support an additional USB camera. And then at the very top of the line, we have our Studio X70. This is a speaker bar that is going to cover those large conference room spaces. Instead of people, we're going to measure this in distance. So it's got about a 25-foot camera tracking range on that camera lens. And that is a function of this camera lens that you see here. So inside of this camera are actually 2 lenses built in. So it's very similar to smartphones today. They have multiple lenses on the back of each smartphone, right, to take photos at different depths. But this camera lens is applying that same methodology, but to a conference room. So we have a wide angle lens that's at the bottom that can see a full 120 degrees in the room. And then we also have a telephoto lens up top that can zoom into the back half of the room for incredible clarity. And this camera can switch intelligently between these 2 lenses to make sure that we're viewing everyone in that approximately 25-foot room as clearly as possible. And as you'll probably note, and this one also supports an additional USB camera as well as 2 monitors within Teams. All 3 of those X series bars that I showed you, again, they're like laptops. They have everything that you need built in. So you can see the speakers through that mesh grill. It's got a wonderful microphone array that's going to be able to hear everyone in the room very clearly. It has the camera built in, and it also has the codec, the processor that you need to run the meeting, all built in. So if we zoom into this little one here, on the back is where all of our inputs are. So just to get the system up and running, you need power, you need HDMI to your monitor, and you need network. And those are the 3 cables that you need just at a minimum to get the system up and running. Some additional cables that you can add for everything that is the X52 and up, you can add an additional monitor. You can also have HDMI ingest for content here. We also have a bring your own device port where you can plug a USB cable from the system into a personal laptop and take over control of the system and join any call that you want. And then we have the ability to use USB peripherals. So for example, on the X52 and up, you can use an additional USB camera. On all of the systems, you can plug in a wireless mouse and turn any monitor into a touch monitor, but with the use of that mouse. And just a number of other really great peripherals, like perhaps a content camera, things of that nature. So you have a lot of different features and functionalities, despite the fact that this is an all-in-one device. So those are the X series devices. Now we also have another device that you'll notice that's sitting right here on the table, and that is called the G7500. So the G7500, if the X series devices are laptops in this analogy, then the G7500 is essentially a computer tower. Now this is not an MTR on Windows, I want to be clear on that. It is a Microsoft Teams Room on Android integratable codec. So this codec is just the processor, it's just the box, it doesn't have any of the peripheral devices. Now I get to come into that room and customize every single piece of what I want in there. Do I want to go with IP connected ceiling microphones, our famous golf ball drop down ceiling microphones as we colloquially call them inside Poly? Do I want to go with ceiling audio with a DSP? Do I want tabletop audio? Do I have lapel microphones that I need to add into the system? Am I wanting to put the camera in a completely different place from the audio? Do I want to connect one monitor or two monitors? Do I want to use a legacy Poly camera that is HDCI connected? I can do all of that with the use of this G7500 and get the exact same Teams experience from a medium size, a small room, an X series room in this G7500 room. So regardless of if you have the smallest room possible or the largest room that you need integrated, we have devices that will cover all of it. And paired with that room system, we would recommend adding this camera here. So this is called the Studio E70 camera, and it's got this dual lens camera lens here. Flipping it over to the back, you can see just how small and lightweight it is. It has a gyroscope built in so that I can detect when it's upside down and automatically flip the image for you. And in terms of connections, it does need to be powered, so you can power it over PoE, or you can power it with a power supply unit, and then you would just plug in this USB cable to your G75, your system. You can even use this as a secondary camera on something like an X series product, and it's going to provide really fabulous additional camera tracking in that room. Now, if the camera lens on this guy looks familiar, that's because it's the exact same camera as what's in the X70. So these two are camera twins. The only difference between the two is that the X70 is that all-in-one speaker bar format, whereas the E70, as you can see here, is just the camera by itself, and then you can customize your audio source. So that's a little bit on the hardware and specifications of all four of our Android devices that we have.